What's up, guys? Welcome back. Kind of a bittersweet day here. We're gonna get some paint on the front end parts here. Then we're gonna put the whole front suspension together. So that's super exciting. But guys, this is the last time we're gonna be working in this garage. After we get all this done today, the next time you see me, I'm gonna be packing up all this stuff. Cause you know what? We're trading in our snow boots for sandals. The snow in the front yard for palm trees. So after the front suspension is done on this, I got a ton of work to do. I gotta pack up the whole garage. I gotta pack up the whole basement. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna take this on a 1,500-mile trip. So I gotta get to moving. Let's get these parts painted. These are heavy. This is just twine. Don't be dumb. So my wife hates these metal coat hangers. She wanted me to get rid of all of them. Nope. I'm gonna sand all these parts down to 180 on this DA. Then we'll clean them up with alcohol, mask off any area I don't want paint on, clean them with wax and grease remover, and get to painting. So I got all those sanded down with 180, figured out how I'm gonna hang them all, and then wiped them down with some rubbing alcohol. We'll have to mask off those ball joints and things now, and then we'll clean it up one more time with the wax and grease remover and put an epoxy primer on them. So that's a wax and grease remover you can get at any local body shop supply store. Does a good job of cleaning wax, grease, oils from your fingers, all that stuff off of whatever you're about to paint. We're gonna use this Spray Max epoxy primer again. It's a 2-part primer in an aerosol can. It's got the activator in the bottom. So when you release it, it mixes the two together. And it's basically the same thing if you were to mix up an epoxy primer and shoot it with a gun. But you can do this at home if you don't have the right air compressor or paint gun, primer gun, or know how to use it. And there's a whole lot less cleanup. Take the red button out of the cap there, put it in the bottom. When you press it down, it releases that activator. Shake it up for a good 2-3 minutes, and you can get to priming. Alright, I got 2 coats of epoxy primer and all that stuff. I'm going to paint those using an aerosol from Spray Max as well. I told them the paint coat I wanted and they mixed it up for me. It's a 2K, similar idea as that epoxy primer. It's got the button on the bottom. We're going to release that activator in it and just go to town. And you get an automotive paint finish using an aerosol that anybody can do in their garage. my lower control arm. These have what you would call a rod end on them. You'll see that when these bushings are both in there, there's a little gap in between there. And there's little ribs in there inside. And that's for grease. So you'd have a little grease zerk in the center here that would be right about where that gap is, and that would push grease into all those grooves. I'm a little disappointed that these don't have a grease zerk. Someday I may drill and tap a hole for one, but not today. Now this sleeve, when it goes in there, it goes from this far edge of this bushing to this far edge of this bushing. And you might think that this rotates around the bolt inside this sleeve, but that's actually not the case. When this is bolted in, this sleeve is pinched. It doesn't move. It's actually these bushings around the sleeve that rotate, and that's why they need grease in there. Since there's no grease fitting on this, I'm gonna put a bunch of grease in there with my fingers, put it all together, and we'll just run with that for a while. Let's put these lowers on. We got a bolt. We're gonna use this broken washer, other washer. So there's 3 holes on the bottom of that airbag. I'm obviously in the wrong one. Don't! Much better. Upper control arms have these mounts. Again, I wish they were greasable, but they're not. So we'll just grease the bushings by hand like we did the lowers. Since these need to go in and out for alignment purposes, we're gonna put some anti-seize on them and try not to make a mess of ourselves. No idea where they need to be. I'm gonna go all the way in with them and then back them out one full turn. We'll do both sides like that, and that'll be good enough to start. Put the grease zerk in the ball joint. Why didn't we put these on before we did the anti-seize? I don't know. Making a mess is what I'm doing. Spindle. Alright guys, it's time to get messy. We gotta pack some bearings. So I have a bearing packer somewhere. It's like a couple cones and you put the bearing in it and grease, but I don't know, I never use it. I don't even know if it works. I just always do it by hand. Put a bunch of grease in my hand and push the bearing into it, and it'll go in that area there, and when it's packed with grease, it'll come out the top. So that's what we're gonna do. Alright, we got that bearing packed and put in there. We got one more to do, but first we got to put the seal on the backside. Washer? Nut. So I usually tighten this nut till it's tight, and then I back it off enough so I can get a cotter pin in it. I'm not sure if that's technically the way you're supposed to do it or not, but that's how I've always done it, and I've never had an issue. So that's what I'm going to do here. So now we got this weird nut cap thing. It's got these prongs on it. Put it over the nut, and that'll hold the cotter pin. Alright guys, as you can see, things got a little hectic around here. And I just went ahead and buttoned up that front end and moved this truck off camera because I had tons going on trying to get this place all packed up into a couple pods. If you had a good time today, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time in a whole different garage. See you out there.